Hi, and welcome to Class 15 of Science Fiction Filmmaking 101. In this class, I'm going to talk about how I utilize visual effects smartly in all of my science fiction films. When working with visual effects, you are always creating some form of CGI assets. Now, it's important to create these assets with as much detail you need with the intention of using the CG asset for at least a number of shots. I always have CG assets built with longevity in mind. And I'm not just talking about utilizing them across a single film, I'm also talking about using them across other projects of yours. For example, in The Beyond, we created a detailed spacecraft with all the parts and hinges movable so we can create realistic animated scenes with them. The spacecraft was created using various kit bash elements and constructed in a modular way, meaning we can remove parts and reshift things around to make another version of that ship without the cost of rebuilding it from scratch. Which is what we did for my second movie, 2036 Origin Unknown. We repurposed the spacecraft in the Beyond to work in the second film. Not only was that a smart decision in terms of time and saving money, but it was also worth it because we didn't have to build another spacecraft from scratch. The cost involved with the spacecraft in Origin Unknown was merely tweaking the asset before animating, lighting, and rendering. Staying on the subject of assets, in visual effects, everything you build with CGI is technically an asset, and that includes visual effects elements using particles and simulation passes. In fact, even test renders I was doing, I would save out as an asset. In the Beyond, I worked with one artist who was able to create all of these simulation render particles for me. I would then take all of those layers and combine them in compositing to create the look I was after. By utilizing those same particle passes in that recycle approach, during my kit bashing, I would do things such as flipping them, flopping them, retiming them at various speeds, recompositing with layers on top of layers, changing colors, and doing all sorts of manipulation to those layers in order for me to create as much variety and utilizing those same passes into various different scenes, such as the scene when the alien appears in the astronaut memory, or the scenes towards the end of the film when the aliens are leaving the planet. All of those are using the same particle passes that the artist rendered to me. I just manipulated them in various different ways and repurposed them. I did this approach for things like the wormhole portal in space, where the spacecraft travels into and beyond. In every project I do, I always create an asset library, which I could always dip into to create shots with when it comes to compositing. On an independent small sci-fi movie, yet high concept, you have to think smarter and utilize this recycle approach to get the best value out of your visual effects, and also stretching those assets as far as you can by thinking creatively with what you have to create more with. Sometimes I find myself adding CGI to enhance the actual props that were shot in camera. Here, for example, is a spacecraft that was a museum exhibit in the Space Centre in Leicester in the UK. And I just wanted to give a sense of movement. So what I did was add some geometry and an animated CG lights across the surface of the proxy object to create the illusion that the actual prop that I shot stationary is moving. Another approach I took to making my films look bigger than the actual budget is by utilizing stock footage to work in conjunction with visual effects. So for this shot in The Beyond, I found a really great and affordable commercial usage license clip. So firstly, I rotoscoped the foreground to isolate that. Then I added in my visual effects alien sphere into the background sky by tracking the footage first and then compositing the CGI element into it. Then lastly, I added tons of visual effects elements into the scene to really help sell it. These days, not everything is a visual effects shot or uses CGI. You can actually do a lot in the online editorial or color grade stage of a film. Things like tweaking colors of eyes to make them feel more synthetic, or adding things like camera shake or lens flares, or even bringing out screen graphics which were shot in camera but couldn't really see much of them due to reflections. Those things don't need to use up your visual effects budget as a shot, and you can do those things in the grading or editorial session.